Welcome back to the Always Reading Book Club. It is your girl Kiki Reader, and we're here. We're on the fourth book in the Devil's Kisses series. So if you have not already listened to the first three books in this series, which are The Devil's Kiss, The Devil's Claim, and The Devil's Wife, that link is going to be down in the description section below. Once you catch up on those, then you can come back and join us as we dive into the fourth and final book of this series, The Devil's Spawn. The book starts out one day before Thanksgiving. Kayla's pissed. She's packing her stuff in a suitcase. Simone's there with her. We find out that she's pregnant, but that apparently Gage has done something so unforgivable that Kayla doesn't even trust him. She doesn't even really believe he loves her. So she thinks he's still been playing a game this whole time. We don't know what's happened, just that Simone is there for support and that she wants to confront Gage before she leaves. So then we go back to the past about 18 days before Halloween. Kayla had been summoned to Gage's office for lunch. She was about to go in when she sees Catherine in the office and she's brushing her fingernails on Gage's arm. So of course Kayla's fuming, but before she flips, she sees where Gage kind of tells Catherine, get your hands off of me. Kayla still feels super upset and sick and goes to the bathroom to cry and throw up. She takes a moment to get herself together because if Gage knows she's upset or that she's thrown up, he might, think she's pregnant. She doesn't want to get his hopes up, so she'll rather just take that extra time. She knows she's going to be late to the meeting for lunch, and she'll just have to she'll just have to take the punishment because she just does not want to disappoint him. She goes back up to the office, and of course, when she walks in, he says, "You're late." So she gets a couple of lashes on her ass for that. Then he starts fingering her and eating her pussy, and he brings her to the brink of orgasm, and then he tells her he isn't going to let her come, but that he wants her so worked up that she's like begging for him to take her in the ass by the time he gets home. So she goes home, helps Eve with her homework, prepares dinner. She gets a text from Gage. He did give her the phone back after the cage punishment ended, but she can only text him, Eve's doctors, and Eve's school, and that's it. No one else. So Gage tells her to go in the room, lock the door, touch herself. She does, and then he comes in and puts in a big anal plug in her ass. So he leaves, and then she goes in the bathroom and she opens her compact, and there's a note in there. And not too long after her punishment had ended, there was a note left on the door, and all it said was, "I'm okay." So she of course kept it, but is terrified of what will happen if Gage ever finds out. He has her wait for him in the basement, and she started freaking out in her mind because it felt like she was being punished. So he put the gag with an opening in her mouth, and then he put on the nipple clamps. He left, and when he came back, he told her that he saw her earlier and told her that nothing is going on with him and Catherine, and that she was at the conference with him as well, because he had just come back from a conference, and nothing had happened there either. He told her everything with Catherine was about to get really ugly. And when she doesn't get what she wants, she becomes extremely vindictive, and he does not want Kayla caught up in that crossfire. So he has her beg to take her ass and basically says you can either enjoy it or tolerate it. So here's my little rant about this, okay? So here's my thing. You already know how this girl feels about it, and you keep doing things to get her to a place, because he gives her these amazing orgasms. So he gets her to a place to where she's begging for them, and she's willing to say yes to anything. And it's like she keeps giving in. All of her hard limits gone. They don't exist anymore. And it's like, I don't like that. That's just, it's like you keep trying to get everything out of her that you can get from her. And it's like, in return, to me, I don't feel like he's not giving enough, but he wants everything. And that irks me. I don't like that. So Kayla's watching Eve and Connor while she's making lunch. This is probably the next day. Connor starts knocking Eve's hand so she'll mess up the picture that she's drawing. So Eve yells out, "Stop it, Connor." So then Kayla goes over and she just tells him, "Don't do that again." And he tells her, "You aren't my mom. And my mom told me that I don't have to listen to you. So then Gage comes in and he sends Connor to his room. So he goes to talk to Connor, and Connor says, no, it's that's not my mom. And mom says that it's just going to be the three of us. And they are not my family. So Gage tells him that will never happen, and to think about his actions before he comes out. So he like took his video games away and stuff like that. So he's like, think about what you did, before you come out and you apologize. So we also find out that Catherine was with a guy named Sean for like most of Connor's life. And he thought that the child was his, and that he is the only father at this point that Connor knew. So the Sean guy stopped being in the child's life when he found out that Connor wasn't his, which is so sad, but I mean, oof. So while he was talking to the boy, Kayla was like eavesdropping, and so Gage catches her. So he tells her that she shouldn't be eavesdropping, and she's like, that's not a big deal. And so then he tells her to turn around, and she thinks she's gonna get like a lashing on her ass, but see, that makes her pussy wet. So he's not gonna do that anymore. He just shoves his thumb up her ass, and I was like, well, damn, but he knows that the other stuff is just getting her wet, so that's not a punishment. Like, he wants an actual punishment that has an effect that's not that. So he says to her that she's not going to do it again, and if she wants to know something, all she has to do is ask. He also tells her that he wants her to put together, this was, I think, a little bit earlier, he told her, he wants her to put together a masquerade ball. He's created the Eve Foundation, and apparently the people that he hired to do the event are doing everything wrong. And so he was like, I want you to do it since you know the things that I like. So she's happy now because she has something to do. But back to the little punishment of the thumb up the ass. I didn't think her eavesdropping was that big of a deal. Like, how do I know if there's nothing in place that says that's like a rule I'm breaking? How the fuck are you punishing me for it? That's my issue. I don't like that type of shit. You gotta tell me what I'm doing wrong. If you don't tell me what I'm doing wrong, how am I supposed to know? But it's like, to him, you do wrong, you didn't know you were doing wrong, I'm gonna punish you, and then that way maybe you won't do it again. I don't like it. So after that, what I call bullshit punishment, they have lunch with just Eve, and she's just talking about her friend at school and how, the little girl likes boys now. She doesn't like boys, just kind of going back and forth. The Connor boy, he asked to be dismissed to his room. Gage lets him go. Then he tells Kayla that she can meet up with Simone on Monday. She wants to question him as to why he's giving her this permission, but she figured, you know what? It's best I just say nothing. So Monday, she goes to see Simone, and the first thing she says is, I'm sorry. And Simone is just kind of like, you go months and months without communication. That's all you got for me? So she tells her that, her and Gage, they had some things that they had to work out, and she just kept apologizing. So Simone was just like, just don't do it again. So they talk about, her marriage, and I guess it's in a somewhat better place. She talks about her issues with Catherine, and Simone tells her, you just need to have a talk with Gage, and you also maybe need to get a hobby, because it appears like much of your life, it's just pretty much all her life is wrapped around him and what he needs. And she's like, maybe you need to start, I don't know, just get a hobby. And so Kayla thinks, maybe I'll start like collecting elephants or something. And during this conversation, they never talked about Ian. The next couple of days, she works at the office planning the masquerade ball. So Gage asked her to like come back and be his assistant, because he's like, I miss having you here. You know what I need. You know what needs to be done. And she agrees. So she tells him about her feelings about Catherine. They talk about it. They go back and forth. He actually, I laugh, but he threw, Ian in her face, but he never said his name. Then he pulled her on his lap and he told her that after the ball, he had, special plans for her, because the ball falls on a Friday. So she's still getting her Friday night punishments. So she starts to freak out a little bit, and she's just kind of like, what else do you want from me? Like, you're getting those. Like, what else do you want? So he told her that there would be, at the masquerade ball, some of Portland's most elite deviants would be there. And he wanted her to fully submit in front of them. So that kind of, I don't know. It's like, so do you want me to do you want this full submission so that you can show that you have full submission, you know, in front of people? So is that legit love, or is this just about pure and utter control? That kind of baffles me. Like, I don't really like that. Because the truth of the matter is, we see how crazy Catherine is about him. You're not going to tell me that that woman would not do anything to please you. So I don't know. But that's my little rant about that. So then he makes her suck his dick, and while she's sucking it, he tells her that Catherine's going to come in the office in just a moment, and he wants her to see just how unraveled her mouth makes him. So Catherine walks in, and Kayla gags on his dick even harder, and Gage throws Catherine papers and tells her that he's filing for visitation. So she gets pissed, and he tells her he will see her in court and to get out so he can fuck his wife properly. Well, damn. So she leaves, and then he pulls Kayla up on the desk and fucks her beyond. So he tells her she can come, which she does, and then she was about to come again, and he tells her she can't. So of course she falls for the okie doke and tells him she'll give him whatever he wants, just let her come. And he was like, you better be careful what you agree to, and he gives her like this devilish smile. So Kayla goes home. Catherine is waiting for her there. And she tells her that they needed to talk, and that her and Gage had been fucking for months, and that he loved her and wanted to be with her. So, of course, she doesn't believe her. And she told her if she didn't believe her to meet her at the Hilton, and she gave the room number. Now, that made her go like, wait a minute. Is this possible? So, Kayla goes to the hotel. Gage isn't there, but Ian is. So Ian is looking confused when he sees her, and she runs up to him, she hugs him, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm just so glad you're okay. And he tells Kayla, you know, I'm not leaving Portland. I'm not leaving Portland again. Like, I've accepted a job here. I'm going to be here. You know, I'm sorry it's going to cause you physical pain from Gage, but I've been given a second chance at life, and I'm going to live it to the fullest. And then Catherine appears, and all they see is a flash. So the next couple of days, she wanted to tell Gage, but every time she chickened out. Then Eve was sick with the flu, and Gage rushed home to check on her, and Gage was like freaking out because in his brain, he was thinking that the child was coming out of remission. And so Kayla kind of explained to him that she had spent a lot of time in the ER in Texas. Every time Eve coughed, she worried herself, you know, so bad that, oh my gosh, is she coming out of remission? So she wasn't going to like go down that road at this point, because he was kind of like, why aren't you worried? You know, but that was why she was like that. And he apologized and was like, I'm so sorry you had to go through that alone in Texas. So then Kayla threw up, and so he put her to bed. It was Friday, and he was like, well, put your Friday punishment off, because apparently it was done with the bullwhip, this Friday night punishment. So not. So then Gage asked if she thought she was pregnant. She said no. And she, of course, had this whole thing of never being in her brain, you know, the thought process of never being able to give him a child. And that made her feel like she was failing him. So Eve finally felt better by that Friday, and they let her stay the night with her friend Leah. Gage took Kayla to dinner, and he could tell something was wrong with her. And she said, Master, I have something to tell you. And he told her, not here. We'll discuss it at home. So they get home, and he has her strip down, go down to the basement. He leaves her, and when he comes back, he has a picture of her and Ian, and he throws the picture down, and he says, is this what you want to talk to me about? And so she's all like, oh my God, Master, I'm so sorry. And she was freaking out. But here's my thing. She should have told him. I feel if she would have told him, he was still going to do what he was going to do. But I do feel like it would have been better that it came from you, because that doesn't seem like you're hiding something. If days have passed, you're giving the other person an opportunity to use the ammunition against you when you could have killed that, you know? So that was her fault. To me, that was just fucking stupid, but whatever. He asked her if she had been unfaithful, and she said no. And she finally explained what happened. So he's pissed that she didn't come to him when when Catherine came to her with the accusation. That her first reaction was not to call him and say, hey, this bitch is at the house, she's saying this. So he's upset about that, and the fact that she still doesn't fully trust him. And then he's also still pissed that she was around Ian. I still was like, yeah, you can be a little mad, but keep that fuck shit to yourself, because it's not like she went there to see him, you know? To me, that's when you can get upset, because there's been a whole situation and you know, literally went to go be around this person. That's different. But if she didn't do that, and you know this was a setup, you know this woman is getting caught in the crossfires of your shit with this other woman, come on now. I'm just saying. I don't feel like she should be punished for that. But, you know, Gage's mind is something different. So, so he breaks out the medieval looking contraption that was for anal punishment. And he gave her a lashing, told her that she still would be punished for Ian coming back. And I just think that's fucked up. And I don't think that was right. Even though that's a promise you made to Ian, and it sucks that she has to suffer for that. It's like, you already had this woman in a fucking cage for over 3 months. Okay? And everything else she had to go through. She continues to have to get these stupid fucking Friday night punishments. And she's got to get punished because he came back to town. That's just fucked up. Like, that's just crazy. To see, that would have been enough. Like, enough has been done. I feel like she should have been left. But that would be enough for me to go, you know what? You are never satisfied. You're never fucking satisfied. So I'm not going to sit up here and just keep dealing with fuck shit because you're never satisfied. I think that probably would have definitely made me go, fuck this. You know, you have to change some shit. I feel like he wants her to change, but he doesn't have to change because he's master. She has to bend to his every will. And I'm just like, okay, if you're into it and you're okay with it, then that's fine. But she's meeting him with too much resistance, which means she's probably not that okay with the shit. But anyway, I digress. I'm probably going to have like at least 2 more rants before this is over. So during that punishment, he gave her like a bunch of lashes with the bull whip. She was yelling out how much, you know, she doesn't think he loves her and that, you know, love shouldn't hurt like this. And he stops with the bull whip, but then he gets this anal toy that's even bigger than his dick, and he starts to like shove it up her ass. And apparently it's supposed to, because it's not pleasurable, make her feel that his dick is more pleasurable. Again, beyond fucked up to me. So they shower, and she asks to speak freely, and she tells him that she doesn't understand how he can say he loves her and then hurt her so badly. So he told her, I told you I was a bastard, but I'm your bastard. And he was basically like, I'll take someone out for you. So then he starts rubbing her clit, but he wasn't going to let her come because this was still like a punishment. So he asked her if she felt anything for him, talking about Ian. She said no. In her mind, she thought he killed like whatever feeling that she had for Ian. That day he sent her to that cage, it pretty much killed that. So she asked him if he was going to fuck Catherine. Because remember that threat, if you go around him or anything like, or you disobey me, this is what the fuck is going to happen. And he was like, I don't think I can ever like touch another woman that's not you. So she goes back to work a few days later and only works until noon. They've hired some help at the house. She throws up and realizes she's late. So she calls Simone and upset, and Simone thinks it's about Ian. But Kayla assures her that it isn't and asks to go costume shopping for Eve for Halloween. So she meets up an hour later and finally tells Simone about the fact that she thinks she's pregnant. Okay, so I made a major boo-boo, and I didn't tell you all back when they were in the hotel, Ian and Kayla. there was another piece of that conversation that was like kind of super important, but I forgot to tell you guys about it. So he tells her that he's seeing someone, and she automatically goes, Simone. And he says, yes. And so she couldn't really be mad because she knows Simone's a good person. Personally, I wouldn't be wanting to fuck somebody my alleged, like, she's like, Simone's like her best friend. I'm sorry, that's just weird. That's just me, okay? So he's with Simone now. So initially, that's why when Kayla called Simone, her feeling was, oh, she's pissed at me about Ian. But it wasn't. It was because she's pissed. She's upset because she thinks she's pregnant. She's got like all these thousands of thoughts running through her head. So I forgot about that, and that was kind of important. So she talks to Simone about like her fears and things like that about if she is pregnant, things that she probably hadn't thought about, which was with the type of lifestyle they lead, how is this going to affect it? So she was a little worried. So Simone, who goes to the pharmacy, she gets a few pregnancy tests and takes her back to her place because Kayla wasn't ready to go home yet. So she takes a test. Old girl is pregnant. She goes home. Gage, as always, can tell something's off with her. She starts asking questions about, like, if I were to get pregnant, how would things be? Would she still have to get on her knees when she's pregnant, or when the baby was a newborn? Would he punish her? Like, he got pissed off because to him, these questions meant that she didn't want a child, and she was trying to make excuses as to why they shouldn't. And so he was going to punish her for talking to him like this and doubting him. So he told her he owned her and that he will do with her as he sees fit. And he thought she was taking birth control pills, so he goes to like search her makeup bag and he finds the note. So she confesses that she'd gotten it weeks ago and she meant to throw it away, but she just simply forgot. So she told him that Ian and Simone were dating and she's okay with it. And then finally she tells him that she's pregnant. So the next day, Gage takes her to the best obstetrician in the city, finds out she's 10 weeks pregnant. And Gage apologizes for going overboard the night before and asked her what she needed. And she said, well, I need to go back to the negotiating table. And he's like, no, you're mine and you'll do as I see fit and I'm not going to hurt you. So he keeps edging her like all day so that she'd be like good and ready for this party. So we get to the night of the ball, puts in a vibrator in her ass, which he has the remote to. He gives her this beautiful dress that he's had custom made and tell her she has to find an empty place to masturbate whenever that vibrator goes off. So he finally gives her her mask. So then they go to the party. It's at the Davenport estate. And these people had like more money than Gage. So it's like a whole elite thing. She meets some people. And then her ass starts to vibrate. She goes outside, fingers herself, and stops when the vibrating stops. So she never worked herself up to orgasm. So she sees two figures in the distance, and it's Gage and Catherine. So she hears Catherine say, you can't bring her into the circle. It was supposed to be me. Gage tells her, we fucked for a few months and it didn't mean anything. And Kayla comes from the shadows and she punches Catherine in the face. And so Catherine was like, how could you let her hurt the mother of your child? And Kayla's like, I'm the same of his unborn child, but I'm also his wife. So I think that trumps you. So Catherine was stunned and furious, but the look in her eyes was like, game on. So they have a little powwow about this incident, and then he has her open her legs and he fingers her, but he still's not going to let her come. So then they go inside, have dinner, and then they go to a different room to join the circle. So apparently they have been inviting Gage for years to join, but he never would. So she has to take off her robe in front of everybody, and he sees the other women sucking. I guess they both see it. The women sucking off their masters. It takes her some time to she's trying to adjust herself to this stuff, And so then Gage takes out her butt plug, and then he tells her to sit on his dick with her ass. And so it takes her some time to kind of work him into it. And then he tells her to close her eyes and a rubber clit. And she asks to come, and then she has to ask again, and then finally he lets her come. So the next day, Catherine comes to the house. She's pretty much drunk, and she tells Kayla all the info she had after she had like pushed Kayla to the wall. So apparently Catherine was best friends with Liz, and Liz after Liz died, he and Catherine started fucking around. Now this apparently was 10 years ago when Liz died, so he's been fucking with Catherine off and on for 10 years. And apparently they were also engaged for a few months, and then he broke it off. So Kayla recorded that whole conversation. She calls Simone, waits for Gage to come home because she's going to confront him. So this is where we start off in the beginning of the book, where she's packing her stuff up. This is what's happening. This is why it happened. He gets home. He, of course, is like, what's wrong? Why is she here? And Simone's like, because she's standing up for herself. Because, see, Simone's not afraid of him, you know? So they go down to the basement, Gage and Kayla, and they talk, and Kayla plays the tape, and he gets super upset. He keeps saying it doesn't matter. He grabs her, starts trying to sweet talk her, and then he sticks his finger up her ass. Okay. Sticking the finger up the ass is a punishment to her. My thing is, why is she being punished? Because your shit is being exposed. That makes no fucking sense. And this is my problem with him. Everything she does, it's got to be, she better tell him. She better not have one secret. But yet he can have all the secrets in the world. And it's okay. And now his secrets are coming to light. And he wants to punish her. I'm like, dude, don't you see she's got her shit packed? I don't think this is the time to try and punish. That was kind of stupid. So she leaves with Simone. They go back to her place, and the next day is Thanksgiving. So she's helping Simone prepare the meal. And Simone tells her, Ian is coming. And she's not shocked because they are together. Of course, they're going to spend the holiday together. So he comes over, he kisses Simone. And it shocks Kayla because it makes her kind of think about how it must have felt for him to see her with his own brother. So he asks her, is she okay? And is everything all right? And she says, me and Gage just need some time apart. And he doesn't ask anything else. And then they sit down and they're about to eat, and someone starts banging on the door. It's Gage, of course. So Simone goes to open the door, but Kayla leaps up to get to it first. And Gage looks like shit. And he was like, where's your stuff? You're coming home. So, at first Simone's like, no, she leaves when she wants to. She needs some time. But Kayla knew she was going. She was leaving. She knew it. So she just gets up. She's going to go. And she tells Simone, it's okay. Everything's fine. It's okay. And Ian even was like, let it be. That's their stuff. Babe. He even called her babe. It was so cute. And I like that because you can't do anything with somebody that wants this shit. You can't. So don't involve yourself in it. So Gage and Ian don't say anything, but they do exchange like this look. So he goes and gets her suitcase. Gage does, takes it to the car, and she gets in, and he was like, did you know he was going to be there? And she's like, no. And he then says, they do look happy. And Kayla was like, yeah, I think they really are happy together. So they get home, and he had the chef prepare the meal already, and he wanted her to let him feed her, which she did. And he apologized again for not telling her. And, he's trying to reassure her that he loved her, and it wasn't about sticking it to Ian anymore, that had changed, such a long time ago. He had a surprise for her the next day. He had her wait, in hiding in the basement while he had Catherine come over. So Catherine comes through the door, and apparently he had called her and told her that he wanted to fuck. She comes running over because she's thinking he's going to fuck me. Well, he ties her up to the St. Andrew's cross, gags her, and then he brings out Kayla. She started trying to yell through the gag, but you can't hear anything but muffles. So Gage told Kayla, you keep your eyes on your master or you will be punished. And so she kept her eyes on him, and he ate her pussy and fucked her, and he kept making her come until she was begging him to stop. So then he let Catherine go, and she drops a whole ass bomb. She told him, you can't take my son away from me because he isn't yours. So Gage had went to put in to have her to get full custody after she had pushed Kayla and dropped all that tea. So He's trying to get full custody now, and she drops this bomb. So apparently, one of the times that Gage had broken up with her, she fucked in and got pregnant. So it's Ed's kid. I'm like, oh my gosh. So she was like, you can't take him away because he's not yours. So Gage like, you're lying. The test came back positive. And she said it was a false one because you're in close relation to the father. His own brother. So basically, he dumps her. She fucks in. She gets pregnant. She doesn't tease because you got to think the child, I forget how old the child is. I think the child's like at least 5 or 6. So she doesn't tell him it's the kid because I don't think she had planned on having to do that. Right? But then when Kayla came into the picture and he really ended it with her and really was done with her, she knew, oh, I got to go through some drastic measures to like get him back. So that's why she used the kid, which is fucked up. Not just because, Gage loves the kid, but because for you to use your child as a fucking pawn, that shows how disgusting of a person you are. That you were so all about how you felt and what you wanted for yourself, and you wanted Gage, and that you were willing to put your child through this. Your child should have never fucking met him under those pretenses. That was fucked up. See, you're fucking with your kid's head because you're fucked up. That's just, oh, she's despicable. So then, my thing with Gage though is you need to kind of fix, you don't have to not have a relationship with Connor because technically he's your nephew, and he can still be in your life, but you're going to have to rectify that relationship with your brother. That's got to get fixed. And it needs to be fixed because now there is nothing, he's not trying to get Kayla. Kayla's not trying to be with him. Ian has truly moved on, which I'm truly happy about because it was like, you need to give it up. She is too addicted to Gage. So hopefully he'll do that and they'll have the kid in his life. Fast forward, she has the baby and they named the baby Grace. So that's the end of the book. That's the end of our series. What did you guys think of that series? I liked it, but that Gage is just a little too much. I just felt like it should have just been more understanding, just because of that dynamic, master sub. I just feel like if they tell you they're not comfortable with something, it just should have been listened to. It shouldn't have been, thrown to the side because it's not what you want. Like his needs are not the only ones that matter, and that's the part I feel like she should have fought harder for, and she would have won it. Because if he loves you the way he claims, he doesn't want you to feel miserable or feel a certain way. I just don't like that she has to accept this fucked up part of him. And I say it's fucked up because it's so selfish, but whatever she needs doesn't matter. That's still a problem for me. But you guys let me know what you think down in the comments section below. As well as the discussion board. Make sure you like and subscribe these videos. And as always, I truly thank you for your support, and thank you for tuning in to the Always Reading Book Club.